Action ponlo en YouTube, tienes para elegir. Venga, vamos a buscar motocross Action. Aquí lo tienes. Pero motocross Action tiene así tipo restauración. Hemos visto vídeos de ello, pero tiene mucho así tipo de carrera, cosas, ¿no? Bueno, enseñan motos también. Sí, enseñan motos, sí. A ver si vemos alguna así a priori. Iconos. Iconos. Esto mola. Iconos. Vámonos a los iconos de Motocross Action Magazine.
¿Qué pasa, picha? Hombre, Joaquín.
Ricky Carmichael Championship Honda CR2.5 Two Stroke. Se entiende que es la Honda 2004, 2003. No me acuerdo ya. A ver que termine el anuncio de rigor. Ven, ojo, anuncio de rigor también. Hay que comerciar, esto es YouTube. Pon la palabra proyecto, pero yo creo que esta nos sale ya directamente.
Well, we'll find out. I seem to think that he won that practice session this afternoon.
My name is Eric Kehoe. I'm the current race team manager for...
Espera, vamos a poner los subtítulos. Subtítulos, configuración, subtítulos, traducción automáticamente, español.
Team Honda HRC. So I was the motocross race team manager for 2000. Let's see, I came in the end of 2001 and for the 2002, beginning of the 2002 season. Well, I think one of the things that I remember about when Carmichael first came here, I'm working with Cliff White and his mechanic at the time Ricky really liked the bike low and dead in the rear. A lot of rebound. Dampening, and he liked the bike low in the rear. He didn't like it hitting him in the butt going through the whoops. So I just remember at that time putting the bike low, and his mechanic at the time Ricky really liked the bike low and dead in the rear. A lot of rebound, dampening, and he liked the bike low in the rear. He didn't like it hitting him in the butt going through the whoops. So I just remember at that time the bike probably didn't turn as well as it could have, just for that reason. You know, the way he had the bike set up, and I know that was something we worked on through the 2002-2003 season to try to get the bike to turn a little bit better.
Que Carmichael venía ahí de Kawasaki, ¿vale? Y al principio, por eso llevaba también el manillar tan bajo y tal. No estaba acostumbrado al chasis Kawasaki y tal, y como que no estaba muy hecho a la onda, y por ese motivo llevaba el manillar tan raro. Está diciendo que apenas llevaba amortiguación, que no le gustaba, tal. Durante la temporada 2003 para tratar de coincidir.
Better for him. He liked, I think he had some habits of doing a lot of brake sliding with the rear because the way the bike was set up. He didn't like to turn on the front. I do remember that season, the first season in 2002 was a big learning year for us and him. And I think he came out the Anaheim opener and had a big crash, and I think crashed out of that race while leading up front or running up front. I think battling with Gilman or somebody, and ended up crashing out. And it wasn't a great start to the season for sure for us. And so I think leading into the next race, the next few races, he kind of stepped back and regrouped and gained some momentum and ended up winning the Supercross Championship that year. But definitely learned a lot of things about the bike and the team, and everybody was kind of coming together as a group.
¿Buscas el champú número 1? Millones de personas eligen HS.
Champú número 1. Ahí está.
Well, I know that, you know, Renthal we tried a lot of different things with the size of the sprockets in conjunction with the handling of the bike as well. So, you know, being with the two-stroke at the time, I know that, you know, Cliff White was really instrumental in helping set up the bike. You know, he was a genius when it came to the machinery here, and he worked really closely with Japan. You know, this was kind of right towards the end of the two-stroke era. You know, the four-strokes were coming. I think, you know, Kevin Windham helped develop that. I think just the following season in 2003 was about when Windham started to debut the 450, and this was one of the last seasons, I think, for the two-stroke, at least, you know, coming towards the end of that era. We tried a lot of different materials at the time, but definitely weight savings was one of the biggest things that you know, Japan helped us with. All the hardware on the bike, whether it was the shift lever, you know, we wanted, you know, you had to have that balance between strength and weight, and so I think this particular bike was probably at that point where we were right near the limit, and so you know, there was a focus on strength as well as weight savings. This particular bike, there was still
diciendo que estaba en el límite de lo que es la reducción de peso y todo, que estaban entre, claro, dureza y tal, para no romper, que estaban en el límite. Fijaros los radios, tío.
Parts that were, you know, anodized or acodized, and but you know, definitely things evolved after this, and with the 450, with the four strokes, you know, things started to change for sure. Yeah, the rules were very similar at the time. You know, they've changed incrementally, you know, over the time frame, but there was still a production rule at that time. Yes, HGA has been involved for a long time, and most of those performance parts they helped us develop during that time frame. I think, you know, some of the standouts, that first season, let's see, was 2002 when Ricky, I think that was the first season of a perfect season for the outdoors. You know, he came out in Supercross in the series opener and crashed out like we talked about, and came back and progressively improved results all that year, and came back, you know, with the championship in Supercross, and then come outdoors. He had his first perfect season on the two-stroke. That was incredible. I mean, to think about all of the things that could go wrong with whether it's a mishap in the first turn, you know, tip overs, you know, bad starts, good starts, you know, other riders, you know, making mistakes in front of you or whatever. You know, he avoided a lot of stuff during that season, you know, to win every moto, 24 motos of a 12 race series. So that was incredible. You know, that was probably one of the standouts for me, you know, to come back, especially from the way that the season started, and, you know, kind of gelling with the team, learning the bike, and to finish the season off like that was pretty incredible. I think that was an interesting time because, you know, Ricky had grown up pretty much on two strokes and you know, racing two strokes, and he obviously being the best at that time. I think during the 2003 outdoor season was when you know, Kevin Windham made his comeback. I think from the previous season he had a leg injury, broken his femur, and came back. And he rode some the outdoor nationals on a 450 four-stroke in that season, 2003, I believe. One of the only guys to really challenge Ricky in the outdoors, and I think that the writing on the wall was that there was some certain things with the 450 that there was, you know, some advantages, and I think that Ricky could see that, you know, during the season, seeing how, you know, how good that 450 was at certain times. You know, that was kind of the beginning of the four-stroke movement, and I think that he recognized that and saw that, and then was ready to, I believe it was at the end of 2003, I think he rode one of the last races on a 450 before, you know, moving to that 450 for the outdoor season in 2004. I know, like during the 2003 season, you know, he won the Supercross championship again in 2003, but definitely had some challenge from, you know, the up and coming guys like Chad Reed. You know, Chad Reed came onto the scene and, you know, took certain techniques and things that he had strengths to another level. And I think that the challenges that he had showed Ricky that we needed to improve, you know, like bike setup. You know, Chad probably one of the areas of strength for Chad Reed was his corner speed and, you know, turning on the front wheel, where Ricky in the past had been a kind of brake slide pivot the bike, turn around, and then grab a handful. And Chad Reed had that turn on the front wheel, corner speed technique. And so Ricky, he recognized that, and I know his mother helped him a lot with the practice schedule back at home. And so I think Meanie Jeannie had him out there doing corner tracks and working on that, on this cornering technique and stuff. And I think that he was definitely smart in that area to recognize areas of that he needed to improve, and we certainly helped with that, with bike setup as much as we could to try to get better for him to turn on the front and improve that corner speed. And I think the four-stroke was another tool that was coming that Kevin Windham showed that a force to be reckoned with, and that bike was also. So I think Ricky recognized that and was ready to give it a try.
¿Buscas el champú número 1? Millones de...
Yo ya me he duchado hoy, tío. Champú HS. Era vendrá otro anuncio, ¿no? Halloween. Halloween. Este silencioso de Kepler. ¡Oh! Esto es no por tío, no por.
Riders, we had Ernesto Fonseca and Ricky at the same time. Ernesto was a very smooth rider, a very calculated rider, and Ricky was pretty aggressive and wide open. And I think they had different techniques, but they would learn from each other. During the time, like when we were out testing, and they would see things that the other guy was doing for setup, and they would definitely learn from each other. And we had a great staff. During testing, we would, the guys would elevate each other to another level, and so I think that worked out good. Well, one of the things that I remember most about Ricky when we were out, it didn't matter whether we were testing, during the week, back at his track, or here in California, or at a race. Ricky gave it 100% every time he was on the bike. Meaning that there was times during testing when we thought, okay, he'd come in from a near horrific crash, and I'd ask him about it or something. He would be like, "What? What was that?" I don't remember that. It was just like, from the sidelines, it looked like it was, next to disaster, but I think that's the way he rode, man. He was comfortable hanging out and riding on that edge. He never got, tense from that or anything. He was comfortable giving it that 100% all the time. I know that we did do some testing with James, and it just contract negotiations.
Salió hasta hace relativamente poco tiempo, no recuerdo el año en que salió, pero esta foto de James igual probando esta 125, que pudo salir hace 5, 6, 7 años, no salió hace mucho. Y se contó la historia de que él la probó con la idea de, antes de confirmar con Cagua y tal, de seguir con Cagua, ¿no? Y siguió con Cagua.
It didn't work out like we had planned, but there was a time when there was interest in James joining the team. Ricky being smart and noticing, the four-stroke movement coming, and then switching to that. In 2003, winning both championships again, winning the Supercross Championship and the Outdoor Motocross Championship. I think he saw, with Windham, having some strong races and challenging him. But that following season, Ricky had injured his knee during the off-season, and that's when, contract negotiations were going on, and he decided to take that Supercross season off for 2004, and then he came out and he raced the 450, raced that four-stroke in the outdoors, and came back to win yet another second perfect season. I can't emphasize how incredible that is, just because there's so many things that could go wrong with, whether it's starts or mechanical failures or weather issues or getting sick during the week. It's just such a huge accomplishment for someone to come back and do yet another season of winning every moto. And I think it was that transition in the 2004 season onto the four-stroke where he started to evolve to more of a, I'd say a normal stance where the bars weren't rolled back quite as much. They were up a little bit higher, and even the bike stance, the rear, riding a little bit higher for him to be able to turn that bike better. But I think it was during that 2004 season that really started to evolve. Yeah, I tell you, like right now, our current, team with, Cole Seeley kind of reminds me of one of the most talented racers, and has had unfortunately has had some injuries that have held him back. Also, you know, Ken Roxon, one of the most incredible riders there is, and he has a real smooth style and also gives it 100% all the time. You know, I think every year these riders, you know, take it to another level. They come with different techniques and different, you know, different ways of doing things, and you know, each year you can pick little things out from each rider that's incredible. You know, every year they seem to do new things and take it to another level that's just it's just amazing.
Brutal. Brutal. A ver si vemos uno que estén andando con alguna así guapa y ya dejamos por hoy el streaming.
Gaby Producer.